All right, legends, welcome along to the show. We're going to be talking about He Man and the Masters of the Universe in this episode, and a little episode called Castle of Heroes. Now, in this one, Skeletor is keeping an eye on the palace, and Prince Adam, Tila, and everybody over there seeing what they're doing. And, he's thinking, all right, if he wants to beat his enemy, he needs to know his enemy. So he's keeping a close eye on them, everything that's going on. At this point, a person from his past shows up. This little creature, little alien known as Montig, and he is putting together an army of the most heroic people or evil people, warriors from throughout history. And he's been spending his time capturing these people and putting them under this dome that in his castle. So he'll have an army to take over the universe with at some point. Now, it doesn't say it in the episode itself, but a lot of these people, if not all of them, are dead at this point. Of course, it's a cartoon show. They're not going to go too deep into something like that. And yes, we do get to see at the end of the episode, like the spirits and whatnot. It's referred to at the end of the episode. So his reason for coming to Eternia is because he's heard these rumors about He-Man and how strong and powerful he is, and he wants to recruit him for this army. So Skeletor is a big supporter, really, of He-Man in this episode, and the fact that he's telling this guy that He-Man is strong, he can do anything that's thrown at him, and he also says to Montaigne, he's not going to be easy to sway to your side. So he spends most of the episode in Snake Mountain with his little magical orb sort of screen thing, and he's watching as everything unfolds. Monty, he goes to the palace looking for He-Man with the story that there's a giant attacking his people and whatnot. So Prince Adam tells him, look, I'll see if I can get word to He-Man. Of course, Prince Adam is He-Man, so he disappears off to transform into He-Man. Of course, Tila doesn't know this, and she is keeping your guy company when Prince Adam's off changing. He comes back as He-Man. Of course, him and Monty head off along with Orko to attack this giant, so-called giant that this guy's been talking about. So Tila stays behind to guard the palace. There's no sign of Man at Arms in this one. He's only really mentioned in this episode. He was given like a history lesson to Prince Adam and everybody prior to the episode. So yeah, they mention that. So off they go, and on the way to this giant, Monty, he has set up all these challenges for He-Man to face to test his strengths and whatnot. So there's the forest fire they come across. He-Man busts open a river to get the water to put the forest fire out, and of course closes up the gash in the mountain again at the end of it, saving this forest. They then head off, and they're Monty, he uses magic one more time to send these ice cannonballs after them. So yeah, He-Man's like, the ice trolls must have fired these off. So he manages to evade them as well by jumping out of the speeder, and knocking down part of a mountain to block their path and destroying them. The last test really is inside this mountain that they have to go through. After that, they went into this tunnel to get away from the cannonballs from the ice trolls. It's called Needle Mountain because there's an entrance and an exit, the eye of a needle sort of a thing. So again, Monty uses his magic to start dropping part of the entrance up and down. It's almost like the cavern is trying to eat them, but He-Man uses his strength one more time to hold this up so that the Wing Raider, or whatever you call it, Wing Raider, can get out. So they manage to get to this place where the giant is supposed to be. And when they go on, He-Man and Orko, to track this giant down, Montague uses his magic to go back to Snake Mountain to talk to Skeletor, see what he thinks about everything that's going on. So, of course, Skeletor, once again, is, He-Man is the genuine article, more or less. And, this is going to be, you're not going to get him to sway, really. So, when they get in there, they come across, let me see, Hannibal and Blackbeard, two famous people from history. Hannibal went over the Alps and whatnot with the elephants. He's there with an elephant. Captain Blackbeard is there. So they try to capture He-Man at this point, and they give away what Montague's, what he's after. He wants to recruit you into this army. We're going to train you. They try to drop him into this here magical pit to hold him. He-Man manages to get away, finding out about this dome that these warriors are hidden under. The people that are recruited and trained into this army are kept there. So he's like, we're going to have to go destroy this and get them released. So off he goes to try and break this dome. And of course, there's a fight between He-Man. Orko's in there. He spends a good part of the episode fighting against Hannibal's elephant. There's a bit of comedy in there in that moment where he actually tries to, at one point, I wonder if I can charm it like a snake, the trunk of the elephant. So he magically pops up this little flute and he starts to play it, and of course the elephant grabs him. You always get a bit of comedy out of Orko. Great little character. So of course He-Man's up against Blackbeard, Hannibal, and Montague at the end of the episode. There's a great moment in it where it just shows the imagination and thought put into these old cartoons. As I said, at one point, they try to drop him into a magical pit to contain him. He does end up in another one that's actually a hole in the ground, but it's magically moving him towards the dome to trap him in there. So Montague tells him that it's got magical granite around the inside of it. You can hack away all you want. If you hack a part of the wall out with your sword, it'll magically come back again. So He-Man starts hacking and it starts coming back, but the rubble that he's busting out of the wall, he's using to build the ground up so he can just walk out at the top of it, essentially. So I loved that little part in the episode. Coming up towards the end of it, Skeletor turns up in person to see what's going on, and he's there. He-Man has managed at this point to get to the dome, and he has destroyed it and let the spirits of these warriors out. Montague is defeated at the end of the episode, and he tries to blame Skeletor for, not telling them that this was a risk and whatnot. It's a bit of a weird confrontation between Montague and Skeletor at the end of it. The usual villain sort of a thing that's it's never their fault, it's always somebody else they're trying to pass it on to. So Montague starts firing his magical bolts at Skeletor, and he just simply vanishes and clears off back to Snake Mountain again. At the end of the episode, Montague also retreats, and because the dome has been destroyed and the spirits of these warriors has been released, it's also released Blackbeard and Hannibal from their imprisonment by this guy. They're part of his army as well, under his control. So now the dome's destroyed, the spell's broken, and they can go and get their actual rest. The rest they've been hoping for, and they just sort of vanish at the end of the episode. So that doesn't so much say it, but yes, these are historical figures. Like this guy has essentially, this Montague guy has been essentially doing the whole Bill and Ted routine. They've been back in time collecting historical figures, although in this case it's all military sorts. So once his control is destroyed, they can go back to the rest. Yeah, great little episode. At the end of it, we do get a character breaking the fourth wall, and this time it's Prince Adam at the end of the episode, and it's about history. This episode, so they word for word. I'm just going to check it up online here and actually read what Prince Adam says. Orko certainly had an exciting lesson in history today. Of course, chances are most of you won't have the same opportunity to meet any of these famous people who lived long ago. But even so, remember that just like you, they were very real. For the most part, the people we read about in history books led pretty exciting lives. And that's why to me, history is like, well, it's a great adventure story. And the best part is that it really happened. We'll see you soon. This was a tasty little episode. A lot of stuff going on in it. And again, there's just those little bits that are thrown into these old episodes of TV shows where the common sense sort of a thing, this common sense approach by the hero. Again, that moment trapped in the magical pit with the walls that magically reappear whenever you bust something off it, and he used that as a platform to get out. And yeah, I've heard similar stories I got before of a farmer that had lost a sheep or a donkey or something down a well, and it was going to be too difficult to get it out, so he thought he was just going to start falling it in the dirt and just kill the animal. But as they started shoveling the dirt in with every new shovel full of dirt, the animal just simply stepped up on top of it and eventually walked out. So I love that idea, that sort of thing. Fantastic little episode, and something that I literally just found out this evening. I've been going through this box set for a long time now, and I was convinced that I had the entire series right here. 65 episodes, I think, are on it. And I was just going on the IMDb earlier tonight, because the box set I have says the full collection. It doesn't say season 1 on it, just says He-Man, the Master of the Universe, the complete collection. But it turns out that it's only season 1, apparently. So, yeah, so by the time I get to the end of this episode, this series of reviews on He-Man, the Master of the Universe, thought I was getting close to the end of it. Turns out I'm not even halfway through just yet. So I'm going to be battering through these as often as I can. Loving it. Great show. Takes me directly back to my childhood every time I sit down to watch one of these episodes to put onto the channel here. Fantastic. The 80s was a great time to be a kid. And yeah, it's just my happy place, checking these old shows out again. Right, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.